Hi, it's me, Tracy, your literary companion. As I reflect on the year of reading, there were many books that brought inspiration, ideas, reflection, new knowledge, beauty, and even a little romance. Let's take a walk through the great reading highlights of 2025 together. I'll be highlighting 6 genres within this little celebration of reading from 2025 because choosing the most favorites is never easy for me. So I will share a top read from each genre, but also an honorable mention to give this episode some variety and inspiration for you. And many of you are new here, so this will offer you an extra look into my reading tastes. We'll start with fiction, and from among the literary fiction that I read in 2025, a standout read was The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami. We follow a teenage boy who becomes enchanted by a mysterious girl, claiming her true self exists in a hidden, walled city. When she disappears, he cannot forget her. Years pass, and later he somehow steps into that surreal walled city where people cast no shadows, unicorns roam freely, and libraries store dreams instead of books. There he finds her again working in the library, but sadly she has no memory of him. Caught between reality and illusion, he must confront what he's willing to risk to reclaim love or discover who he truly is. Murakami is a master at shaping melancholy-laced tales embroidered with existential musings, loss, and magical realism. A special mention in literary fiction, it would be remiss of me not to mention a book by Jane Austen, as 2025 saw me happily enjoying a year-long project of revisiting all of Jane Austen's 6 completed novels, as well as other Regency period fiction. The Jane Austen novel that has long been a special favorite for me is Persuasion. In this story, we follow Anne Elliot, a thoughtful and gentle woman in her late 20s who once broke off an engagement to the man that she loved, Captain Frederick Wentworth, under family pressures and social constraints. Years later, fate reunites them, and old feelings resurface. Anne must navigate social expectations, family pride, and personal growth and honesty, and acknowledge that the power of love can be rekindled. Jane Austen's most mature work, this is such a beautiful look at second chances, quiet strength, and the enduring power of love. During 2025, I read less fantasy fiction than I had for some time, but there was one story that really captured my heart. The Shepherd King Duology by Rachel Gillig, containing the books One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. In this story, we follow Elsbeth Spindle, a young woman infected with her kingdom of blunders, cursed dark magic, and sharing her mind with a dangerous ancient spirit called the Nightmare. When she meets Raven Yu, a nobleman warrior who is trying to gather magical artifacts, the Providence cards, to save their mist-shrouded kingdom, Elsbeth is drawn into a high-stakes quest where every use of magic demands a very personal cost. Across the 2 books, the story blends dark fairy tale sensibilities, slow burn romance, and a morally gray magic system that is really fascinating as Elsbeth battles both external corruption and the possibility of her own death while the monster grows inside her head. The duology builds toward a sacrifice-laden fight which breaks Blunder's cursed magic and uncovers the true legacy of the Shepherd King, and we find the reclamation of Elsbeth herself. A special mention in fantasy fiction, The Broken Queen by Lydia Foxglove, where we follow Atora, a magically crafted doll meant to be a concubine who is unexpectedly claimed by a dragon-blooded king searching for the reborn Dragon Queen. Thrust into court politics, dangerous magic, Atora must transform from an object others control into a powerful queen in her own right. All the while, an ancient threat rises. And while the bond with her king grows more complicated and emotional, this story weaves together rich fantasy elements, dragons, ancient magic, and royal scheming and intrigue with a slow burn romance and a heroine who rises from being treated as a possession to claiming her own personal power. The tone is lush and moody, sometimes dark, but ultimately hopeful and backed by very immersive world building and strong emotional payoff. I loved this book and I can't wait for its sequel. I read a lot of poetry in 2025, and half of it was in Norwegian, and most of that has not been translated into English, sadly, so I'm highlighting English poetry. Evensong, poems by Kenneth Stephen, was a highlight of my poetry reading in 2025. Kenneth Stephen is a poet from Scotland, also a novelist and children's book writer, as well as a landscape painter. He is a man of many talents, and I love his work so much. His written work is richly woven with the love of his homeland, the Scottish Highlands. He writes so beautifully about many things, and not least spirituality, especially Celtic Christian spirituality. And I greatly admire how he weaves the natural world, nature, into his writing, revealing the divine in the ordinary and the familiar, the things that we love, and sometimes how we find light in the darkness in this world and the people we love. This is such a beautiful, special read. A special mention in poetry is How Beautiful the Beloved by Gregory Orr, an American writer and poet. His poetry is very deeply rooted in deep topics like recovering from trauma, the reductive power of language, and that poetry is a path to healing, where poetry is a way to help oneself to move away from suffering. He is brilliant at using language to bridge the gap between disorder and order, survival and mortality, and seeing the beauty in the ordinary, and exploring things like our very human need for beauty in this life. Gregory Orr's work has just such a beautiful, shimmering emotional intensity. I just love it, and I can recommend this poetry collection. During 2025, I read a lot of great manga, and one of the series was My Happy Marriage by Akumi Agitori with artwork by Rita Kosaka. This is a romance, a historical fantasy romance set in an alternate Taiso era Japan, where supernatural gifts are at play, and we meet Mio Samurai, who is born into a very powerful family, but she has no magical gifts and is mistreated by her stepmother and half-sister. Mio is forced into an arranged marriage with Kyoka Kudo, who is rumored to be a cold and cruel warrior of a powerful clan of gift users. But over time, she discovers that he has much kindness, understanding, and affection to give, and a love story begins. I love this Cinderella-like paranormal historical romance, and the artwork is stunning. 2 extra special mentions in the manga category: A Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita and A Business Proposal. I came to really enjoy manga romances in 2025. In 2025, I read so much good nonfiction. A highlight read was The Library, A Fragile History by Andrew Pettigrew and Andrew Dervaden. This traces the story of libraries from ancient scrolls to modern archives, showing how these institutions have shaped and preserved human knowledge over time, but also how easily that knowledge can be lost. The library highlights both the delicate balance between resilience of libraries, weaving history, drama, and cultural insights into a very captivating read. If you love books, histories, ideas, and human history and memory, this one's a must-read. A special mention in the nonfiction category would be Paper, Paging Through History by Mark Kurlansky. This is a wonderfully surprising, fascinating deep dive into the creation of the humble sheet of paper shaped by human civilization. Kurlansky traces its origins and journey from ancient China to the modern world, showing how paper fueled literacy, art, religion, politics, and the spread of ideas. It is a fact-rich read that makes you appreciate a material we sometimes easily overlook, even us book lovers maybe. Perfect for history lovers and curious readers alike. In 2025, I had the great pleasure of reading several books for young readers, and among them was Tangerines by Svi Joles. Tangerines is a tender, imaginative story told through the diary of Gillig, a 10-year-old girl who sets off on a journey through her local forest along with her eccentric best friend to find the father who is missing from her life. This story captures childhood wonder and heartbreak in equal measures, full of whimsical observations of life, raw emotion, and a bittersweet blend of innocence and loss. It is quite a dreamy read that feels simple on the surface, but lingers in your heart long after you turn the last page. Thank you for joining me for this backward glance at the books and reading that shaped my year of 2025. I hope that maybe some of these offer you new reading inspiration too. Please share in the comments your reading highlights from 2025. I would love to hear all about your favorites. I have some reading plans for 2026 that I am very excited about, and I will share more with you really soon. And I just have a lot of ideas for new content and extras coming up here. I hope that you will join me for more adventures in books and celebrating the joy of reading. I really hope that you are well, and I wish you a new year filled with peace, joy, and books that light up your days. Until next time, I wish you happy reading, and as always, much love and many blessings. I will see you again here very soon.